Pollution. Pollution is a major problem today. Pollution is any undesirable man-made impact on the environment. It doesn't have to be a thing, it can be an effect. Like, for example, acid rain, an effect on a landscape. Materials that are pollutants can be biodegradable or non-biodegradable. Biodegradable pollutants are things like food scraps and yard waste, etc., that really should probably not be in our garbage because they slowly biodegrade. We don't want to put those in the ground because they'll slowly disappear and then the ground will subside. Non-biodegradable wastes include things like glass, aluminum, plastic, metal, radioactive waste, and many pesticides. Radioactive wastes, of course, remain dangerous for thousands of years and pose the greatest problem of all waste types. So here we've got a landfill and we've got moving equipment that's actually smashing the garbage down so that more can be placed on top. This is compost produced from biodegrading just household scraps like banana peels, just lettuce that was discarded, etc., etc. Orange peels, things that typically get thrown away can be turned into compost. Um, this is scrap metal for processing during World War II. It can be turned back into virgin material, turned into bullets, turned into airplanes, but commonly it has been thrown away and ends up in a landfill. Now, one of the strange phenomena of non-biodegradable pollutants is biological magnification. When you put stuff out in the environment that's not biodegradable, it can end up in the food chain and it can accumulate in the bodies of top predators like birds or people and cause major health problems. Some non-biodegradable pollutants enter the food chain and accumulate within the bodies of plants and animals. The highest concentrations will always occur in your top carnivores, and it may produce illness. For example, DDT is a compound called dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane, hence the name, dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane. Here's a bottle of it, okay? This product was used to control insects. It was first invented in the 50s, and it was widely used in the 60s, and I had it sprayed on me when I was a kid. Unfortunately, it accumulated in the food chains, and by the late 1960s, falcons, eagles, hawks, and vultures were disappearing from the landscape. And a very savvy scientist named Rachel Carson kind of blew the whistle on the chemical industry by publishing a story on the decline of the environment, including our national symbol, due to the use of this compound. And then it was pulled from the market in the early 1970s. Many people in the chemical industry were very unhappy about the loss of the DDT market and the loss of billions of dollars. And Rachel Carson is not a very good name in their circle. So this is the chemical formula of DDT. You can see it's got a lot of chlorine atoms on it. It happens to disrupt nervous systems of insects. So in that way, that's how it killed them. It doesn't directly affect us, but there are still scientists that believe this is one of the leading causes of cancers, but there's no conclusive evidence for that yet. But there have been scientists that have proposed that the high rates of breast cancer in the United States are caused by non-biodegradable pesticides that are biologically magnifying in human flesh. All of us have DDT in our bodies because of the indiscriminate use of that product in the 50s and 60s. So this is a large gallon of the product, and here's a bald eagle that almost, as a species, disappeared because of the use of the product. Now, not all pollutants are just directly dumped into the environment. Some pollutants are directly dumped. We call those primary pollutants. Other pollutants are formed as a result of primary pollutants interacting with what's in the environment. So primary pollutants are things like garbage and trash, scraps. If you're walking down the hallway and you drop candy, that's a primary pollutant. So discarded glass, aluminum, paper products, yard waste, the smell from rotting food scraps, etc. Those are considered primary pollutants. Secondary pollutants, on the other hand, are secondary effects of the primary pollutants. For example, we think we now are experiencing global climate change because we've dumped lots of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and the planet has appeared to be slowly warming. The global warming effect, that's a secondary effect. It's not a prime. We are not dumping heat into the environment. The global warming is a secondary effect of the primary pollutant. The ozone hole, which thankfully is shrinking, was a secondary effect of air conditioning and refrigeration gases being dumped into the atmosphere. Ozone pollution and smog. No one dumps ozone into city air. Um, Here on the surface, ozone is a poison. Up in the upper atmosphere, it's a benefit. No one dumps ozone directly into the atmosphere. Instead, if you're filling your gas tank at the gas station and some gas vapors get in the air, the interaction of gas vapors with the air and ultraviolet light produces ozone. Algal blooms. Nobody directly dumps algae into a lake. The algae is a secondary effect of too many nutrients in the lake. So those are secondary pollutants. Air pollution is a big problem worldwide. Everybody shares the same air. And in Beijing, when the Olympics were underway, people wore masks. The air pollution was so bad. Air is about 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% random mixture of gases. It's that 1% that can be a serious problem for especially people who have already got respiratory issues like asthma. Smog is a mixture of components that can make up more than 1% of the atmosphere. Smog is automobile exhaust, it's smokestack exhaust, it's the particulates from people burning leaves and vegetation on their landscapes that go in the air and make it harder to breathe the air, which is supposed to only consist of nitrogen, oxygen, and then these random gases here. So smog is a particular hazard. It always gets bad in a city during the summertime around the world, and that's because of the high use of petroleum products. Some of those petroleum products evaporate into the air, and it contributes to the formation of smog in sunlight. So this is smog over New York City, which is blocking the view, and not only that, it's making it hard for people to breathe. And smokestacks obviously produce a lot of pollution, but all of the cars in the landscape are making even more than the smokestack. Now it's time to go on to some global issues.